then we're only fooling ourselves. The Great Commission will not primarily be fulfilled by telling the world to come. The Great Commission will only be fulfilled when the church decides to go. Jesus told his disciples to go. Going is much more challenging than asking others to come. Going requires more of us. Going requires action. Going requires courage. Going requires us to step out of our comfort zones. Going requires faith and trust in God. Going requires us to be willing to do what must be done. Are we willing to do what must be done? Are we willing to go? As we've seen in this sermon series, we can go into the world as Christ's ambassadors in all sorts of ways. There is no one way to go. What we must do is look for opportunities. This morning, I'm very excited to share with you some exceptional evangelistic opportunities that are coming up for us. The first one I'd like to mention is something I talked about a little bit last week. Last week I told you about our Glades Village outreach. Do you remember that? You are invited to join us this coming Saturday afternoon. That's Saturday, September 12th at 4 p.m. at Glades Village Apartments down by the Berea Post Office on Glades Road. We're going to go door to door and invite the residents to join us for a free meal. And then when they come out at 5 o'clock, we're going to have dinner with them. We're going to eat with them, and we're going to talk with them. Some of us will play games with the kids. And basically what we're trying to do is to express the love of God in a tangible way, and we're just trying to build friendships. So, if you can serve food, or if you can eat food with other people, or if you can talk with people, or if you can help set up chairs or tables, or if you can play with kids, then this is something you can do. And this is something that your whole family can get involved in. This can be a family evangelistic outreach opportunity. We have a sign-up sheet for this event out here in the hallway. And last week, many of you already signed up, and praise God for that. If you're interested in helping us out and in going to our community in this way, please put your name on that sign-up sheet. It's on a little table on the wall out in this hallway. And this week, we will be contacting you to remind you of the event. It's this coming Saturday, the Glades Village Outreach. Second, the other opportunity I want to tell you about is a big evangelistic opportunity. It's a campaign called Find It Here. Now, Find It Here is a nationwide evangelistic effort coordinated by the North American Mission Board of the Southern Baptist Convention. Churches all over the country are participating in this. Berea Baptist and other Southern Baptist churches in our community will be partnering together to see that every home in our area receives the gospel message. Now, the first phase of this begins next month. It begins in October. Each church will be responsible for prayer walking every street or road within an assigned area. Do you know what prayer walking is? Basically, it's just walking through an area and praying. It's not rocket science. It's exactly what it sounds like. Prayer walking. You walk through an area and you pray for the people who live there. You pray for the families. What this means is that next month we're going to need teams of people who are willing to walk through certain neighborhoods and pray for them. That's the first phase. The second phase isn't until March. In March, we're going to go back to these neighborhoods and we're going to deliver a gospel packet to each home. In that packet will be a response card, and those who respond will be personally invited to join us for a celebration service on Easter. And then we'll follow up with those folks who respond in that service. This is a big deal, folks. You're talking about how on the Kentucky level, churches all across Kentucky have it as their goal to prayer walk every single street and road in the state and to deliver packets with the gospel message to every single home in the state. That's just Kentucky. And then, like I said, it's a nationwide effort. So this is a big deal. Please be praying about this. As you're listening to this, maybe you're thinking, Kevin, I've heard your sermons this summer, but I think I still want some more training about evangelizing, about how to share my faith with somebody. Or maybe you're a college student that just showed up and you're like, I missed the whole sermon series. Well, there's something else that we're providing for you. Every fall and spring, we offer classes here called discipleship training classes on Wednesday nights. They begin at 6 o'clock and go until 7:30. Every fall and spring, we offer 7 or 8 classes. One of the classes that's being offered this spring is called When Our Paths Cross. It'll be taught on Wednesday nights at 6 o'clock by Rick Brammer. It's going to be a 5-week course in personal evangelism, and we're going to offer it twice, 2 sessions of it this fall. So if you're interested in that, please, I would encourage you participate in that. The opportunities are there. Jesus has called us to be his ambassadors, his witnesses. Are we willing to go? I would imagine that we might have some here that are thinking something along the lines of, but Kevin, I'm already serving God in this way or in that way. Evangelism, it's just not my gift. So I'm going to leave that to other people who have the gift of evangelism. And I'll serve God in this other way. It's interesting that we will sometimes rationalize that we don't have to witness to people because we're already serving God in some other way. It's like that gets us off the hook. Well, God knows I'm doing this, so I don't need to evangelize. This is if we haven't gotten anything else out of the sermons of the past 2 months, folks, I hope that we have understood that part of our identity as Christians is that we are ambassadors of Christ. No matter where we go, no matter what we do, we carry the gospel in us and through us. It's part of our identity, and yet we'll rationalize, well, since I'm already serving God like this, since God has called me to serve him in this way, then I don't have to serve him through personal evangelism. And we can get extreme with that rationale. For example, I'm not making this up, I have even heard of some Christians actually saying that God has not called them to witness to Americans because they believe that God has called them to serve as missionaries in foreign lands. So as they prepare to be foreign missionaries, they don't have to worry about witnessing here in the States before they leave because that's not their calling. I know that's kind of an extreme example, and I haven't heard of that often. But we can take that rationalization of, since I'm already serving God in this way, I don't have to evangelize in that way. I want to share with you something that the Apostle Paul wrote. In the book of Galatians, at one point in Galatians 2, Paul was talking about how early in his ministry, he went down to Jerusalem and met with Peter and the other apostles and leaders, and they basically compared notes. And what they discovered, one of the things they discovered, is that God had called them to different areas of ministry. For example, in Galatians 2, verses 7 and 8, Paul wrote this: "On the contrary, they saw that I had been entrusted with the task of preaching the gospel to the Gentiles." Gentiles, that means non-Jewish people. I'd been entrusted with the task of preaching the gospel to the Gentiles, just as Peter had been to the Jews. For God, who was at work in my ministry, or work in the ministry of Peter as an apostle to the Jews, was also at work in my ministry as an apostle to the Gentiles.